Okay, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to show off this spreadsheet thing I've been working on for a while here. Um, One of the guys on one of the Discord servers shared this roster template spreadsheet in Google Drive for everybody to use. It's a blank document that you fill in yourself with your roster, and it gives you a pretty cool overview of your entire team, what kind of squads you can make, and different characters, what their power levels are, and you can track all sorts of stuff in this. I didn't fill it out 100%. I filled it out, like you can see here, I rounded the power numbers quite a bit, just to make it easier. I filled in all the star levels, mostly accurate on the levels and the abilities for each of them, and then the gear tiers were kind of whatever. Some of them were significant. One thing I did change though was I did mark any that I did orange investments on, just to highlight them, and it gives me a better view of what I've actually invested oranges in. But this is a pretty cool sheet if you take the time to fill it out. It is very long and tedious. It takes a while. It's, I don't know, it may or may not be worth it for you. But really, I'll scroll down here so you can see they sort it by role. So the idea is you just go to your, roster, you click, the role filter for that type of origin or whatever, and then you go through this and fill it out one by one. So it takes a while. There's no way to really import it. I'll give you a link to mine if you want to copy it to your drive and start from there. You could. I don't know if you've got a pretty mature account like what I do, or over or around 2 million CP. It might save you some time because a lot of it will already be filled in. However, everybody has different rosters, different luck with red stars. Just depends on what you focused on to build. But it may save you some time. I don't know. You can certainly try it if you like. Um, but it is a very handy tool. So once you've filled this in, and it takes a while, you got to hit the drop down, and then, how many stars, how many red stars, what level are they, what's their basic. So what they're looking for here is the actual skill, like how many times you've leveled it up. So like, 6 is, the purple max, and then 7 would be your oranges, 5 on the passive, of course. And you can see here some of these are blacked out because they're minions and they don't have an ultimate ability really. And so they just have basic and special is what it's listed as. Then you can put in their gear tier, and this color coding, there's a thing over here on the right that automatically color codes it for you using conditional formatting. I don't really find much value in that because I'm not worried about gear level versus the regular level. That's what it's looking for. So you can see here the gear tier that you have if you're level 54, you should be about gear tier 10 is what it's saying. Really, gear is so dependent on your ability to get the catalysts and stuff to upgrade people and the gold. I wouldn't worry too much about it. When you're focusing a team up, you really want to get everybody up. So it just depends on what you're working on. But this gives you a great view of what you have, and you can see mine if you want. It's pretty up to date. And it's just fun. But really, the biggest benefit of this thing is if we go over here to Blitz tab, you could put in your teams, and it'll import all the information you put in that previous sheet in the roster sheet, and it'll bring that in so you can see the power, you can see what their ability levels are, you can see how these teams kind of stack up, power wise very quickly, and be able to switch them around here instead of trying to do it through the save team slots. And so that's pretty key because it takes forever to edit those save slot things and then scroll them back up to the right spot where you want them and go through that. So for blitz purposes, if you're wanting to hit 1500 or higher, you really got to be organized. You got to have a lot of teams that can win. You got to have a pretty good synergy among them, and you have to have pretty close power levels for the most part. Because if you don't, you end up with really wonky matchups, or for instance, this one's a little bit bad because my Kree Royal Guard is 7 red stars and 7 star, so he's 40 more K. So I always have to look at the matchup for this one because sometimes I'll get like an opponent where it's like 60K or something for one of their characters. If it's crossbones, then you're screwed. So you really got to look at this and think about what you can do to bring certain guys up, make their power a little bit more in line with the entire group. So you can see here my hand archer is 14k lower than my highest character, which is hand sentry in this particular group. And so that can help you like think about, oh, well, maybe I should close this gap a little bit, invest in him a little bit, get him closer to 20k. So it's not quite as variable on what the matchups could be. But this is great for tracking your teams that you use frequently. It's really good for helping you build good blitz teams. So these are my blitz teams actually. If you want to copy these, you're welcome to. The only ones I really wouldn't recommend is this Quake team, which was just kind of leftovers. I didn't know what else to do with it. But I found a lot of fun like with this mystic like space disease team is what I call it because they just constantly debuff. Like they're really good, and then throwing Kingpin in there just for the extra protection on Thanos with the defense up too, as well as the offense up on his. Sometimes on his ult, depends on if he gets any energy from killing somebody that first turn or so. But it can be really, really nasty, and then Strange Witch and Mordo for a lot of debuffs and control. It's not a quick killer or anything, but it's a good team, and it's pretty solid because it can sustain for a long time with Scarlet Witch's health share, especially with having Kingpin and Thanos who have huge health pools. So they keep these guys up as long as they don't die. This team is amazing. I just started playing with this the other day. Miss Marvel plus a bunch of mutants is awesome. And Wolverine, Deadpool, and let's see, I don't think I think she's a controller. Yeah, but Wolverine and Deadpool are brawlers, so they get the assist from Miss Marvel, but then Storm has an assist capability on X Force and X Men, so she gets to assist everybody but Miss Marvel. And then Cable has like an apply counter random thing, and it's just so funny. Like sometimes you'll get like on an attack, say Wolverine attacks, he'll get his attack, and then Miss Marvel will assist, and then Storm will assist, and then he'll continue his special attack, and it's actually pretty fun. Like it's a good brawler team. I would recommend playing around with this. And if you want to swap like Cable or Storm for somebody, you can. But I really think this is the core. You don't need Cable. He's probably the one I would drop first, but he is a hero. I don't know. It's just, or I'm sorry, he's a mutant. That's what matters. Is he applies stuff to mutants, so it's pretty fun. But there are some good teams here. I'm still working on some guys, but the main thing is when you're building these teams, it's gonna pull from your roster that's still available. So down here, it's tracking who you haven't put in a team yet. And this makes it way easier to figure out, oh, I haven't used my 21k Reaper in a team yet, and my Nebula. So if I wanted to, I could say Kree, and then choose my Reaper, and it'll import all the data for my Reaper. And then when I hit Nebula, right? So if I'm building like some sort of cosmic blue people brawler team or whatever, like I can bring that in. Now this little list here updates and it shows, oh, well, now I've used those people. So who's available now in that range? 18, 21k. I can look quickly and see, oh, Bullseye. Okay, that's about the same power, so I'll grab him, bring him in. And you know what? If I accidentally use somebody, like let's say, Electra is in this other team here, if I use her and she's already in another group, it'll actually highlight her in red on both places, so you can quickly see, oh, you overwrote somebody. So that is really nice. This is so helpful for building teams. I really love it. There's this guy, I think his name is Demon on Discord, who created it. There's a tab here somewhere with instructions. Yeah. And he shows you how to go through all this and how to use it and how to migrate to. So when he gets a new version with new characters added, you can copy and paste your rosters and stuff. And so you can import all that, which is really nice. But there's some other good stuff on here. For instance, so Blitz is what I found the most important by far. Next thing is legendary events. If you haven't 7-starred all these people, cool thing is it pulls in your roster for those different events, and you can kind of see quickly how close you are to being able to unlock the next one, right? It shows you at the bottom here who's available for that particular event. So like for Fury, there's only 5 guys. They're all the creepers or whatever you call them. It's late. Uh, but yeah, so there's a whole bunch of guys here. You can kind of see what their powers are. Maybe you want to sub somebody that makes more sense for the event. And that's pretty cool. It's just a helpful tool for figuring it out. They haven't added Sure yet because it hasn't been officially announced yet that it's going to be only Spider-Verse, but I'm sure that'll be added in the near future. It'll be the same sort of thing where you can dump in all your Spider-Verse dudes and just see how they stack up, kind of see the overall power of the team, and maybe you need to boost somebody, maybe not. But it just gives you a good view of everything. If you use raid teams in particular, there's some here you can just build them and see how they stack up with power and how they come out, and you can build all that through this raid chart. I did it for a little bit just for the heck of it, but I don't really find it that useful right now because Ultimus is a joke. So, when Ultimus 7 comes out, we'll probably use that. In Arena, really just depends on, what you're doing because, like, for me, I have like 6 different offenses depending on who I'm fighting, um, programmed into my save teams, and that helps a lot. But if you like, I was thinking is I might turn this into a page where I save all those and then what team I'm fighting with it. So it's sort of like an answer key for Arena. So I may work on that a little bit and then eventually share that. So uh, the thing is, there's such a variety of characters now. It's really hard to remember like exactly who beats who and how and what the turn order is. And so I may do that and add some notes. I've been jotting that down in a different spreadsheet here and there just to kind of remember. But man, there's just so many teams now, so many different defenses. It's hard to keep track. Stark Tech, if you just want to, track this stuff, you can. My alliance is at 15%, but we're about to hit 17%, so whatever. It's just a quick look at, who it impacts, and so that could be kind of useful, just to see, you know, how much it may help or not help your roster if you upgrade one over the other. Flash events. So if you're tracking, where you are in the Catalyst, Gold, or Ability Materials events, these are of course very important, especially Gold and Ability Mats. Those are Ability Mats mostly though. Um, those are really important, but you can look here and build that team and see how it stacks up and get an idea of how close you are to getting to the next level. So just to show you here real quick, I'm gonna show my game over this. So like if I'm building a team, for instance, let's say I'm looking at my A team there, my Guardians. Um, so I got Star-Lord, Rocket, Gamora, Groot, and Drax. So I listed them all here. You can see it's pretty close. I've probably done some minor upgrades on these guys for that extra 2K or so since I last did this. Or maybe it's Stark Tech, I don't know. But you can see here, this is, just the team, and I've got it in my save squads, which is great. I can pull this up whenever I need to, but just from like a planning standpoint, this is very helpful. However, these teams don't really change, right? I don't think I'll ever swap anybody out of this Guardians team for a long time, or Defenders. Maybe Brotherhood if I get Sabretooth up eventually, but I really like Loki Mystique combo right off the bat because that basically kills anybody. It's like, oh, you have a crossbones. Now you don't. Pew pew. But what this really helps with is if I go up here, there's some trashy kind of teams here that I had to put together. Like I ended up with this Brawlers team, which is really, really good. They've been winning at 8.1 and 8.2. Not on auto, but good enough where it's like, I'm getting some points out of them, and that's really helpful. In the long run, if you're going for 6 million to hit 1,500 in a blitz, you gotta have good teams, right? So these are my teams. I'll share this. I'll put it in the description to link to my sheet as well as a blank one from the guy Demon. And you can build your own if you want, or copy mine and start from there. Or if you want to just pull my blitz teams and throw them in your save squads or give them a shot, go for it. Only one, I'm just word of caution. Once again, this Quake team is terrible. It's very hit or miss, and I would not recommend that one. But some of these other ones are pretty cool. I definitely like the villains team. Crossbones Boom is really what you're going for there, but Yondu and Korath are pretty solid too with controlling. And then of course Brotherhood plus Loki is hilarious. Like you could just this is an auto win. This is almost an auto win, depending on the opponents really. This is an auto win. This is an auto win. Like these are really solid teams, and that gets a little hazy back here. Fury's pretty close to an auto win, but I don't have shield up yet, and then he'll be set. Kree team is still really good, with Captain Marvel, who is really fun, by the way. I haven't seen the movie yet. Hope to this weekend. Looking to go Friday, but she's actually a really fun character to play with as a Kree or a Brawler. I had her originally in the Brawlers team. Didn't work out as great as some of these other guys, especially with the mutant synergy. So I moved her to the Kree team instead and dropped Reaper. Um, Actually, Noble is, or no, I still have the Noble here. But yeah, I dropped Reaper from this team, and it seems to be working a lot better. So let me know if you have any questions or spreadsheet questions if you want. I think it's a lot of fun to track this stuff. You know, this game is all about collecting, and that's essentially what the spreadsheet does for you. Is it puts it in a really easy to read format, lets you look at all your red stars very quickly, and oh, I forgot to mention filtered traits. So you can actually filter here and look through all these different traits and stuff and find, like, say you want all your protectors and just view them or whatever. And you can use this and or thing. So if you're looking for a duplicate like protector heroes, it's or instead of and or let's say they're hero protectors, you can use this to look through your stuff very quickly. So for those really weird, like I think there was like what was it, a city villains, right? City I think it was from the Deadpool raid or something like that. But if you have one of those weird ones, um, you can always use this to see what your roster looks like for that specific trait combo. So that's really helpful too. Like it's just so neat to have. Like I don't know. I wish there's something more like this in the game itself, or maybe an API provided by the vendor, through a website to do this, because it would be so cool to have this information at the tip of your fingers, at any given moment. Uh, but it's fun. So if you enjoy being a nerd and doing spreadsheets and stuff and filling things out and just looking through your roster, go for it. And yeah, just have some fun. This is also really, really, really helpful for Arena Wars. And I'm sure I'm probably going to add a tab for that because it's almost the same as Blitz, but it's pretty much Arena War defense. If anybody's doing that, and offense, like this is the exact same thing. Like I'm going to be using this sort of format for that, and trying to fill something out. To kind of keep tabs on exactly what my defense is, because whenever you have to switch rooms for defense, oh my god, it is such a mess to redo all those teams and remember who was where and what combos you had, because it doesn't function the same as Blitz. With all this buffs and stuff, you really have to keep on your toes about like who you're putting on offense and defense. So anyways, I'll link these. You guys can play around with them. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments, and let me know if you are interested in seeing anything else on this, and or if you have any ideas for the spreadsheet. I'm sure Demon was really nice to talk to him a couple times. You can always give him feedback if you got ideas or maybe new tabs or something else that you want to see in it. Let us know. Thanks.